Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest narration of the web series Accidentally Adopted. If you're new to the series, there is a playlist listed down below in the description. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Part 2, Chapter 6, Ripples. Log 6,000,000.9.08. Personal, Captain Yormdrill. The first thing was, of course, to have a family meeting. It's not like we were going to do anything other than fully welcome Sneaky in. But it was important to put everything onto the table so that he knew that his concerns mattered to us. He doesn't know our people's ways, and we don't know his. So it was best not to make any assumptions about what he did and didn't know. A bit ironic since this whole situation came about due to making assumptions. I got the oars with we're going to have a shipwide meeting this afternoon, but I think it's important to have a family discussion first.
What is there to discuss?
Asked Trandy.
Sneaky is staying as long as he wants.
Whether he wants that, for one, Trevdy pointed out.
Do you want to stay with us?
Yormdrill piped in. Sneaky signed his answer immediately. Yes, please.
Yay! Well, that's settled. What's next?
Sneaky, how do you find your room? We have a single occupant quarters on this deck if you would prefer. This time, he seemed a little troubled before he answered. I find my berth and my cabin good enough. If I'm allowed, I would modify some things. If you wish me to move to different quarters, I can do that too.
No!
Yormdrill exclaimed somewhat loudly before he controlled himself well enough to continue.
What if the bad dreams find you there? How can I make them go away?
You are perfectly welcome to stay in the little room, of course, if you're comfortable with that, Trevdy said slowly before asking. If I may ask, why? I have slept in worse places. It's warm, it's dry, it's off-ground, it's private. I would like different stuff. Shelves are hard to keep tidy. You are used to sleeping in such conditions? On planet, it's important to not be seen, not important to be comfort. On ship, every square, every piece of space is needed. Slept in crowded rooms for sleeping, not high enough rank for cabin.
That sounds hard,
Yoiv murmured. Was good at it. Helped many live when we would not live without it.
You're a hero.
Sneaky flinched as if Yormdrill had hit him and frantically sighed, No, not that great. I just did my best to help. Saw many heroes. Was not one like them. But... Yoiv, maybe we could talk about Sneaky's stories later, so you don't mind the room, but that's not the reason to stay. I want to be near friends. I admit, I had to blink away tears at that. He considered us friends even after we'd put him through. What in particular would you change? Our fitted sheet something you have. It's nicer to sleep on a sheet that doesn't move. Yes, though it'll be a custom job. Thank you. I'll figure out how to make other changes later when can pay for them. Sneaky, you are our guest, I began, but he silently cut me off. On ship, every man has to add to the ship. I do not know much about ships, but I am strong. I can clean bulkheads. I can learn to help. You have given much. You have promised much. I cannot just take and take and take. I understand, I said. That business can wait, though. Before you try doing any work, I think you should become familiar with the ship and continue learning our language.
You're really fast at it.
Learning to listen is part of the old job. Learning to talk is harder. Hand signals are easy for me, hard for other people. I see, I said. May need to give myself a moment to think. Do you have any hobbies? I do not know word. Please tell more. Things you do for fun. Sneaky sat there and thought, I like to walk. Walk outside on planets with no enemies around. Just walk openly where many trees grow. I cannot do this on ship. When on ships, no time for fun. Well, others had fun. Wasn't on ship long enough to make friends.
You haven't been on our ship very long,
Yormdrill interjected. No, but I am not dropping to planet and leaving on different ship in a short time.
Sneaky,
Trandy began.
How old are you?
It looked like Sneaky was about to slap his own forehead, but stopped himself before tapping on the table 25 times. Trandy looked aghast and said, I gave you a bath. Was not fun. But you needed, It's never fun when a woman baits me. This time pure mom. Mom being mom made me sit still instead of injury.
Pure matronly will.
I murmured, only to receive a mortified glare from the beautiful and strong-willed wife. Hair was tangled from place. Would have been hard to wash.
Anyway, so you were a grown-up,
Trandy stated. Sneaky just shrugged, but Yovdril helpfully added,
and a real fun kid.
He smiled at that. Do you mind us asking why you do things? All at once is hard. I want to answer, but sometimes do not know words.
I think I could come up with a schedule, if that would help. You need time for exercise and time for studying, but I think you'd want to do other stuff too.
I need ways to say names. Name signs are too hard to do with 2 hands only.
What do you call us in your head? I prompted.
He pointed to Trevor and signed Mom. Then to me and signed Dad, but more not formal. Then to the kids, names for old famous cartoons, translated into almost all languages.
Can you teach us your language?
The language I speak I am not allowed to teach.
Why not?
Trandy asked sensibly. Because it's special. The rules say you learn by joining. People who fight bad guys.
So you had to join to learn? Wait, you can talk?
Yovdril interrupted, much to Trandy's chagrin. Body can talk. Broken inside, too scared.
So you had to join to learn?
Travdy repeated. She clearly was in the currents. Sort of. A person broke the rules when on my planet. I do not want to try talk about what happened to my planet. I do not know the right words to tell you right.
Okay, but that means that you spoke something else before?
I see. No, I cannot teach you my mom language. I lost it. Maybe can understand old movie enough to follow it, but not speak. Trandy just looked crestfallen and said,
Oh.
It was a good idea. I will talk. I always do when I go quiet. This is taking longer than normal, probably because of it bringing back bad things that happened before. I will try harder for my friends.
Dear, there is no need to push yourself with something like that. We're listening when you're ready.
Thanks, Mom. Still need other signs.
You want to call me Mom?
Do you have a better name?
Dear, you do me too much honor.
Remind me of my mom. She would have liked you.
Have?
My mom is gone. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, if you insist. The others? My be little brother.
Yovdril demonstrated excitedly while he barely controlled himself well enough to be understood. My little brother is good.
I could be big sis.
How old?
Okay. How about sis?
Trandy quickly asked while demonstrating. My guess, Sneaky signed before tapping the table 12 times.
Shut up. Okay, I get it. You're like way older than me. It would be weird if I was big sis. Well, this sign, I said while demonstrating, is informal for Dad. It can be read as Da or Pop or other informal father names.
This is good, thank you. Mom, Da, Sis, and little brother. I have good friends. We adjourned after that, so that everyone could get some rest. Mainly Sneaky, who looked like he'd been hauling all day. My guess it was difficult for him to explain things with such a limited vocabulary. A language that he's not allowed to teach. His people must be very strong sense of honor. I was more convinced that he was some kind of soldier than ever, so I took the time to check the database to see if we have any resources in regards to caring for combat veterans. Trevdy took the opportunity to consolidate everything we've learned about Sneaky into something that can inform the crew without breaching his confidence. I mentioned that he probably wouldn't want to be described publicly as broken inside, and my wife gave me a kiss and called me Captain Obvious. Well, sometimes you miss the obvious. Nobody's perfect. I'm not entirely sure what Trandy and Yovdril got up to, but I'm pretty sure Sneaky took some time to relax. I don't blame him. I thought that it would be best if we arrived at the galley early, so that everyone could slowly file in so as to not stress out our clearly exhausted guest. Which might have been superfluous because he dragged the chair away from one of the tables to sit himself down in front of the viewport to watch the hyperspace slip by our reality bubble. It seemed to soothe him. Something to remember. Well, once the crew and the families were assembled, I began. Gentlemen, ladies, kiddos, thank you for coming. As you all probably know, Trandy recently had her halfway and wanted to adopt a pet. It seemed that luck was with us when we went to the shop and found the most adorable animal ever in the kennel, and he instantly took a liking to her. We now know that the police made a mistake in identifying Sneaky, one that we took on faith, and thus inherited. Sneaky has demonstrated through various means that he is in fact a sapient being. A youth of 25, he was a soldier amongst these people before he was taken by the poachers and subsequently rescued and then adopted. His people sailed the stars, though he was denied a home ship by duty. He finds himself stranded here upon the star tides we sing, amongst we who sail the stars. As a castaway upon the stellar tides. Through his coming to her, he honors upon the star tides we sing, and wishes to call her home. What say you, crew? Now, this was a lot to take in for most of the crew, so I expected everyone to sit there a moment before welcoming Sneaky aboard, though belatedly. Instead, Yumdril decided that it was a good time to make a suggestion.
Will he be our mascot?
To which he signed, "Don't know word, please explain." That opened the floodgates. Everyone was trying to get a word in edgeways over everyone else, and those amongst us not Wiggins even shouted in their languages. Somehow, someone explained that a mascot was a person or an animal who improved morale by being adorable. That was caused a long argument where Sneaky just adamantly denied being adorable, insinuated his opponents couldn't see, and said that the idea of adorable was strange and made no sense. Well, you're definitely welcome aboard, otherwise they wouldn't want you as a mascot. Dear Diary, at first I didn't think we needed a family meeting, but I guess we had a lot to talk over. Whether Sneaky wants to stay with us, whether he wants to move to a different room, whether he wants to change his mate to his current room, and lots of other stuff. Poor Sneaky was super tired by the time we were done. I learned some important stuff, like Sneaky is 25, which was embarrassing when I said that he could call me Big Sis, since he's going to call your little brother his fifth digit. Doesn't really bend right, but that's probably because it's not a thumb. Speaking of embarrassing, Mom blushed when she realized she gave a man a bath, and made him sit still by having super mom energy. He said it wasn't his first time a lady gave him a bath, but he said something about being injured, so I think it was in the hospital. Do hospital baths even count as something like this? Whatever. From what he said, I think he was some kind of soldier, since he fought on planets and not in ships. He talked about fighting, and even having a language only for people who fight bad guys, so probably soldiers. I know soldiers don't always do that, but he probably doesn't know the word for soldier yet. Besides, he probably didn't only fight bad guys. It's weird. He also said that he can speak the language, like out loud and stuff, but isn't allowed to teach it to anybody. Maybe you have to be an honorable warrior to get in. I really want to ask him about it, but it would probably only frustrate him right now. I tried to find out his mother tongue to see if he'd teach us that, but he said that he lost it. He didn't want to talk about how. I don't know how I would feel if the seafarer's negotiation lost to me. Just thinking about it makes my chest tighten. Poor Sneaky. The crew is trying to bully him into being the ship's mascot, and he is adorable, so they might win. Journal entry 14, date 126, name Greg George. Anti-Nightmare repowered. Energy for shit doing depowered. Fecking hate meetings. I get why it needed to happen, but feck me if it isn't tedium made reality. So apparently, whether I like where I sleep matters to my hosts. Which is weird, because the one rule that don't go out of your way to make sack time worse. All things considered, it's pretty good berth comparatively. It's in its own cabin with a door. It's reasonably up off the floor. There's plenty of room for all the stuff they've given me. It's nice to matter enough to ask, though. I guess that's the difference between somebody's home and a spare berth on the way to the next deployment. I don't really know the science to explain planet-side operations to them, and I don't know how much I ought to explain in front of Linus on account of he's a little kid. Speaking of, apparently these guys can yell if it's just one syllable and you upset them. No clicks or hums to make you quiet down or slow down in just one syllable. Don't worry, little buddy. I like being close to my friends. There's probably a reason their language is so weird. I had to explain that I can't just go teaching RBC to whoever asks. Then my mother tongue came up. How the hell do I explain a living dead language? It's weird. I actually want to tell them my story. Probably because unlike Dr. Johan, they don't know it already and aren't poking me to get the heating process going. They just want to understand me. I know it's not fair to Dr. Johan, and I appreciate that his job is to help guys like me, but I can't help feeling like he intrudes. I'm sorry, internal therapist voice, I'm trying. The big problem is that I can communicate on a level of smart but sheltered kid. I guess even Xeno cartoons are pretty shy about things like killing. Anyways, I'm getting a fitted sheet. Hell yeah, no more blanket cocoon. Well, maybe still more blanket cocoon. I have some ideas about how I'd reconfigure my cabin so that it was a proper cabin and not just an old closet being used as a cabin. I wish I could draw with crap. I'm starting to consider swallowing the embarrassment and explaining crap with stick figures and scribbles. Speaking of embarrassment, Mom realized that giving no fecks can backfire. Apparently, if Bleavers is embarrassed enough, they turn fecking purple. You're embarrassed? I was the one held in place by sheer mom energy and the unwillingness to fight a lady while naked. Telling her it wasn't the first time that it happened seemed to help. I still think that the Med Corps sent women because we were less likely to hit them. Completely unfair. Do these guys even have a navy? Does their navy have infantry, or are they savages who just rely on the completely separate army? I also had to explain that I'm just being quiet. I wonder if the burns changed my voice. It hasn't lasted this long for a while. Sometimes you just get into the habit of being quiet. If you're dirt side for more than 2 weeks. But that's different. Thinking about making noise makes that deep part of me scream about what happened to Ray. They're going to want to know my story. Maybe they deserve to know it. They took me in, saved my life. Maybe I owe it to them. The gallery is the tits. Well, it's more of a mess with a galley along one wall with a serving counter in between it and the tables. Fucking trusting cook, if you ask me. Lucky him, there's only one kitchen I know won't kill me, or I'd be tempted to pull for the Xenos cookies. It's a time-honored enlisted tradition. But then again, this is a civvy ship, so maybe Navy traditions wouldn't be appropriate. Speaking of civvies, apparently I'm adorable. Feck. The entire fecking crew is fecking unbending that I am adorable, which just proves that they're insane, of course. But since I can't show the Xenos the error of their ways, how can I use this?
Dear Loggery, today was an important day. We talked lots. The word occupies several lines about all kinds of stuff. Sneaky is a hero. He said that he is not one, but heroes always say that they are not a hero. I want to know more about him. I want to meet more Sneakies. The crew says he's cute. They say that about me too. Sneaky does not like it. I don't like being cute too. Maybe Sneaky can get bigger, like Tran Tran. It would be cool if he was bigger so that he could lift me higher.
End of chapter. I would just like to thank the T5 supporters: Bushmaster 117, Casper Arnholtz, Dragzoon W.R.E, Elijah Silvercross, Gray, Jon Creighton, and Sevaren Serberous. Thank you very much.